everybody, I am excited to be back, and I am really excited to talk about today's subject. As you see in the title, we are talking about food planning or meal planning. I am still a little crazy about food. My years in the kitchen still come back to haunt me a little bit because I still love preparing menus and making meals for anybody, essentially. I like to do the big meals, especially at Christmas. But today we're talking about the 21-day spending freeze and how I prepare my meal plans for 21 days without going to the grocery store, because that's very difficult. Most foods that we have and that we like don't actually last for 21 days. So if you are interested in seeing how I meal plan for 21 days without going to the grocery store, keep on watching. So I normally, on a weekly basis, will go through and take an inventory of my food. I have a couple of freezers, and I also have a pantry food storage that has a little bit of stuff. Back when I had my house before I sold it, I had a huge food storage, and I think I put up a video on it so you can go see my food. I think it was my food storage tour, actually. Anyway, I had roughly 6 months to a year worth of food storage, and that was wonderful for multiple reasons. Number one, when I got laid off, that's what I lived on for food in order to reduce what I was spending, as well as it was used a lot. We rotated food. I had meal plans that actually rotated that food so it wasn't in there forever, like some people assume. And I was actually got to the point where I was a little crazy about it, that I could literally know how many rolls of toilet paper I would need for a year. I would know how many cans of tomatoes that I needed. And I had really set meal plans back then. Now I don't have such set meal plans simply because I don't have the space to store all of that stuff anymore. I'm in a little apartment, and there's just not the space. Number two, I don't want to move that. That all gets really heavy and really costly if you're having people come in and help move you. And so I don't want to have that. So I keep things a little lighter these days, actually considerably lighter compared to what I used to have. So basically on a weekly basis, usually on a Saturday. This one's being done a little bit early because the first is on a Friday, so I'm doing this on Thursday. But I go in and I take an inventory. So this is a sample of one of my inventories where I go through freezer and I write in what I have and how many meals I have of that. And I go through the fridge and the cold storage and all of that stuff and get that set up. Okay, and then I'm going to show you, if I'm just doing it for a week, then I will do it on paper and I'll just write it out. But on this case, I'm actually doing it for an entire month. And so I'm going to show you what I do when I have an entire month's worth of food. So right here, and come back here, this is my inventory. It looks very light because generally we're a little lighter as far as what we have. We don't have a very big pantry, so we do what we can with what we have. And then we have a couple of freezers, obviously, and so that's why that food's a little heavier. And then what's in our fridge, we generally eat through in a week. I try to keep that very light. That way I'm not wasting food. And we'll go through what's in the fridge in about a week. And so that's why this looks very light as far as the fridge is concerned and different items. But what I'll do is, like, for example, in the freezer, if you look, and I'll have different, like, very specific meats, like Italian meat, taco chicken, things like that. What I've done with that specifically is I will buy meat in bulk. I go when it's on sale. Like, for example, if I can get chicken for $1.49, I'm going to buy a lot of it. $1.49 is actually a really, really good price for chicken, and because you usually can get it for $1.88, $1.89 on a regular basis. So if I can get that much cheaper, I'm going to load up, and that's what I do. So I'll go and get bull chicken, and then I will prep it. It's just boneless, skinless chicken. I will prep it for meals. Like, so for example, the Italian chicken is just Italian dressing seasoning packets mixed in with those chickens. Super easy. I know a lot of people, I've done this in the past as well, is just use Italian dressing itself and coat the outside, put it in freezer bags, and then once it's seasoned, that's when I'll put it in the freezer. And so I will know exactly how many meals I have of that particular flavor chicken. For example, I only have 2 lemon pepper down here. And so I also will put some in that's not flavored because I have a couple of recipes that don't require any flavoring in advance, so I'll do that. So I've got a good combination of a little bit of everything here, and that's why I have so much meat is I actually buy it in bulk. That way I can get it for cheaper and reduce my costs. So I will specifically save money each month for meat as it goes on sale. And as you buy it, you'll learn what are sale prices and what aren't. It's very smart to do this. And so you reduce your costs drastically because meat can get extremely expensive. Again, the fridge stuff we go through, we try to rotate that every single week and get through it. And then our pantry stuff is light just simply because we just don't have the space. So doing a 21-day challenge really has to be planned out really well for us because number one, we don't have the space, but number two, food doesn't last for 21 days. So we really have to figure out how we're going to do each meal and how we're going to make sure that we're still eating healthy and not eating food that doesn't create a balanced diet. So let me show you how we do that. So this is my inventory, and then I take that inventory and I see what meals I can create with that inventory. So for breakfast, I know I've got like a 5 pounds worth of pancake mix in my dry storage, and so we're gonna have pancakes. Protein shakes, if you looked on my freezer, I had protein shake bags where I have all the fruit and everything all cut up. I put the spinach and kale and everything right in that Ziploc baggie, and even the protein shake mix I will stick right in there. And then all we have to do is pull that out. I usually nuke it in the microwave for about 30 seconds just so it's not quite a hard rock. And then I'll dump it in my Ninja, mix it up with some milk, and we're ready to go for the day. The oatmeal that we have is actually Sam's Club instant packets. Courtney, when he's on weight loss and building muscle and things like that, he really likes the protein or the milk. He really likes the oatmeal in the morning. I try to get the high protein one, but the ones we currently have are just the regular instant packets. We got them on Sam's Club when they had a sale on them, and it was like $3 off a box. I ate one of those big boxes, so we got 3 or 4 of them, and those are hanging out in our pantry. And then eggs and potatoes, again, when you're working out and you need that extra protein and that hearty breakfast after your workout. Eggs and potatoes is Courtney's go-to, and I get to benefit off the fact that he cooks breakfast a lot. So that is really nice. For lunches, soups are usually really easy. I've got a lot of homemade soup actually not a lot anymore. I did. We've gone through a lot of it in the freezer that's portioned out by single serving, and so we're able to pull out 1 or 2, either put it in the fridge for defrost the night before or stick it in the microwave and just do it all the morning of. We take sandwiches when we're in the office and we're not going to be able to come home for lunch, and then we do a lot of leftovers. If I'm going to cook the night before, I'm going to do enough leftover to handle lunch the next day as well. So generally a lot of leftovers. Again, protein shakes are another great option. If I need to run out the door, then that's what I'll end up doing. I'll shake one of those up and just do just the protein and the milk, shake one of those up, and I'll drink that in the car. And then salads, again, is always a wonderful option for lunch. So those are kind of what I created. Salads are something that we're going to struggle with a little bit, and I'm going to explain what I did for those once kind of the threshold of the salad being good. Okay, then I took all of our meals that we have available. This is all the protein that we have available. Like I have this many prepped bags of meals of Italian chicken, and I have 3 prepped taco chicken, and I've got 2 lemon pepper chicken, and so on and so forth. You get the idea. All of these are prepped and ready to go in the freezer. So all I have to do is pull them out, defrost them, and cook them. We generally pull them out in the morning. They're not fully defrosted by dinner because they're in the fridge, but they cook up really nice after about an hour. 350 for about an hour in the oven. They cook up pretty amazing, actually. So that works out really, really well. So I break out all of the meals that I've got. The reason why I do all of the meals, and especially when I'm planning for a month, then I can also see what meals I need to replenish. If meat is on sale, I should get chicken so I can replenish this. If pork is on sale, I really need this. As you can tell, pork was on sale, I think, right after Christmas at Sam's Club, and so I got 4 or 5 packages and was able to make a whole bunch of it, as you can tell. So I've got a lot of that. It also gives me an idea of how quickly after the spending freeze, I need to get to the store and get more food if I'm really, really going all out and making sure I just exclusively use what is on my pantry. So I also pulled what vegetables that I had. So the broccoli, the corn, and the green beans are the main thing that I have. I know I only have 6 bags of broccoli, so when I move the meals over to the actual menu, I need to make sure I only have 6 bags of broccoli on that menu, even though there's more bags of there's more broccoli here. Broccoli is something we keep on hand a lot, and so it's something that I regularly meal plan with. Rice, again, is a food storage item that I get in big 10-pound bags. And I have a rice cooker, which makes it really easy, or you can just cook it on the stove as well. Potatoes are something that I can either use food storage potatoes, which is basically potato pearls, or I can go to the store and get a huge bag. And I don't personally like instant potatoes or potato pearls. I do have some in my food storage on those just in case moments, or they'll be really nice if there is an emergency to have some potatoes. But I generally will go and get a 10-pound bag. They're cheap. They last a long time if you store them right. And so I would rather just go and get real potatoes and do real potatoes. Pasta is one of those things that I buy on case lot or when it's on sale. You can get them for anywhere from 50 cents to $1 a package. And so when I can get it on sale like that, I will stock up. And so I have a huge load of pasta in my dry storage. And then couscous is a thing that I have just in my pantry that I've got about 4 servings of. And so that's something that I need to watch how many servings I'm putting out so that I make sure that I stick within what I've already got on hand and I'm not running out. So I mix that up, make sure that there's a variety of starch and vegetables with each meal. And then what I'll do is I will copy them over to the meal plan. So my next step is meal plan. I will always put the day of the week along with, the date of the month so that I know, like, for example, Sundays I generally don't do anything with business. I generally kind of take that day off as a day of rest, binge watch my Netflix. I'm going to be honest, it's a Netflix and chill type of a day, but it's also a day that I'll have extra time to do prep. It's like, for example, if I wanted to make a big batch of soup, then that's the day that I would do that, and I would plan that in. So it's one of the meals, so I'm making it for a meal anyway, and I'll just make a big batch and then freeze the extra. The other thing, that I need to make, if you looked at my freezer inventory, is I've got bags of what we call enchilada meat, basically taco seasoned meat with rice and things like that. So it's ready to go. And I need to make a big batch of enchiladas. I don't have the other ingredients. I don't have enough cheese and I don't have the sauce on hand, and so I'm not going to do that this month. I'll wait till next month to be able to do that, but able to do a lot of extra ones, stick them in the freezer, quick meal to defrost and pull out. So anyway, so that's kind of what I do on Sundays when I have extra time. Sometimes Saturdays allows me that extra time as well. So I start putting meals in. I go through breakfast first and rotate breakfast. I always check out my schedule. If I need to be out the door to for example, meet a client for coffee at 6 a.m. And yes, I do have clients that are crazy that think that mornings are just fine and I'm only half functioning at 6 a.m. But I will go and do that. I will have a protein shake on my way out the door rather than eating a hearty breakfast and then go meet my client. So I'll go through my schedule and make sure that I have the appropriate meal if I've got something going on in the morning. Same thing for lunch. I will go through and make sure that I have a meal lined up with what I have going on my schedule. For example, if I'm going to be in the office and unable to come home because I don't have a big enough break, then I will take a sandwich with me or some type, like we have a microwave and a fridge, so I could take leftovers, but I make sure that I note that within the meal plan because I don't want my schedule out on social media. I didn't mark that. I just put the accordion or the appropriate meal into place for this month. I didn't specifically mark that for view. And then I go to dinner, and dinner, this obviously is the protein, the veg, and the starch. And I wanted to make sure that those were rotated, number one, because I hate having the same thing more than twice. And so I will eat it for dinner and I'll have it for leftovers for lunch, but I probably won't eat it again. And I really hate, like, for example, I will never cook corn for the vegetable like twice in a row just because I don't like to do that. I like a variety, or I get really bored, or I won't eat it because I'm kind of picky, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, so what I do is I'm going through here. I make sure that there is a different protein, basically, every single meal, and then a different veg that doesn't overlap the day before, and the same for the starch. So I'll go through and I'll start copying and pasting. That's where these the pink highlight comes into place, because I'm taking that pink item and moving it over to this one, and then I highlight it so that I know that that meal was already used, or that sequence was already used. So I went through and I filled my calendar for every day of the month. February has 28 days, and so here's the 28 days. On the days that, for example, I do a lot of traveling, I have a lot of out-of-town clients. Most of them are within 2 hours of my home, so I will just road trip it. And so on those nights, I'll usually mark an eat out night or a freebie night. And so this next month, we had to cut down on freebie nights. So we had to figure out how we're going to take our meals with us. And so right now we don't have any travel. And so I was able to put a meal in on every single one. If travel happens to come, then we're going to be protein shaking it, or we're going to be sandwiching it for dinner as well, because that's just what it is. So ultimately, that is the breakdown of how I do the meals. I rotate it so I don't have the same meal back to back. I try to not have the same meal in a week, or the same protein in a week, just because I don't want to get bored. Especially when you're on a spending freeze. I know some people that will do the same meal like 2 or 3 times in the same week, and it gets really hard to actually accomplish your spending freeze when you're not liking the stuff that you're eating. So you make sure that you're rotating things through. And the other thing to watch for is things like, for example, salads. I've got salads on here, and I'm not going to be able to have salad items last for 21 days. Even if I went and shopped on the first day of the month and brought everything in and I was done, it still would not last for 21 days. So salad stuff, in my experience, usually lasts a week to 10 days. Sometimes if you're really, really lucky and you got things really, really fresh and you keep it at the proper temperature and things like that, it will last 2 weeks, but generally you're pushing it at 10 days. And so I do not have, if you look down here, so there's a salad here, and a salad on the 10th here, because of, again, 10 days you can push it. But if you look down here, there are no more salads for lunch here. If you look on dinner, I've got a green salad here, which was within the 10 days. But if you look down here, there's no more green salads until the 22nd. The 22nd, my spending freeze is over, and I can have a delivery of fresh produce and be able to fulfill that. So that's kind of how I work around that. The other thing to consider is milk. Milk is a very difficult one. Depending on your store, and the deliveries will depend on the expiration date. One thing to know about, and basically the date that is stamped on the bottle is a sell-by date. It's a date that the store knows it's got to get out of the store by. And so when you look at that, I know that milk will last 7 to 10 days. I know that from my time in the kitchen for years and years and years, but also I go by those same dates even now in my own home. So I will take milk 7 to 10 days past that date on that bottle, because it's still good. And so when I do my milk, I need to consider that. Like right now, the milk in my fridge will last through the 13th, but it won't take me all the way to the 21st. The date on the bottle is marked the 13th. So I have 2 options. I can either gamble it and hope that it lasts through the 21st, because you're pushing that 7 to 10 days right there. Or I can stick a bottle in the freezer. Milk is totally fine to freeze. The reason why the bottle has the little indentations on the side and everything is so that when you do freeze it, it'll expand. It's totally fine. You take it out, you shake it up really, really good, and it is totally fine, even if you freeze it. And so that's another thing I really need to consider as I'm going through and deciding what items I want to eat, but as well as how I'm going to do my shopping. So after I do that, I'll print off that sheet of paper and I will go through and figure out which items I actually need to buy in order to make it the 21 days. You only want to buy the bare minimum of what you're going to need to make it the 21 days. Here's how you ruin your spending freeze: is you go to the store before, buy $200 or $300 worth of food to stock your pantry, thinking that that is what you need, instead of living off what you've already got and not saving the money. The idea is to save money through this time. Use up what you've got on hand, number one, but to save the money. And so that is the goal. If you look through here, I break it down per week. So week one, the only thing that we're going to need additional is milk. I've already got milk in the fridge, so I really don't need to buy it for that. For week one, it could probably go into some of the other weeks. Week two, again, we've got salad items, and it's something that I've got to think about heavily about how long that's going to last, and I need to check expiration dates before buying it and get the longest lasting salad stuff, things like that. Again, we've got milk here, tortilla chips, things that are going to last. Anything that is going to need to last a long term, I need to think about storage and how to make it last that long. If it's not going to last that long, I need to think about how I can freeze it. So for example, I got French bread here. If you have ever ordered or bought a loaf of French bread from a deli, it's number one, amazing, especially when it's hot and fresh. I can literally eat it for a meal. But number two, it doesn't last very long. Reason being is it's fresh bread. It doesn't have any preservatives or anything like that to keep it from going bad and molding, whatever. And so that's something that has to be thought about. I've got French bread here, and I've got French bread in week 4. So my options are I can either change that item so that I don't have something that's going to expire or something that won't last. Or what I can do is with this French bread is I can actually open it up, put the garlic butter already on it, wrap it in saran wrap and aluminum foil, and then freeze it. And the night I need it, then I can pull it out and stick it in the oven. The oven will freshen that up, and it will be really, really great. After a while, you learn how to freeze things and have it be just as good as if it was fresh, which is awesome. Again, milk, what I'm probably going to do, because of the quantity of milk that we go through about 2 gallons a week here, because I drink it with my coffee. My coffee is basically half coffee, half milk. And I usually have a giant cup similar to this one right here with coffee. And so I go through a lot of coffee in the mornings. If I have anything sweet like pancakes, I'm going to have a glass of milk. Courtney is the same way. We also use it in our protein shakes. We just go through a lot of milk. So we plan about 2 gallons a week. And so I'm going to have to put some in the freezer, or put a lot in the freezer ultimately. And so that is the plan for our milk. And then eggs are something that lasts a really, really long time. I've only got 12. I'm going to get, a couple more dozen because we go through a lot of eggs as well, because Courtney is protein. He's lifting weights and stuff like that. So he does a lot of protein, and eggs is one of his big proteins. So breakfast potatoes is something that can be frozen. I'm not really concerned about that. And then the regular potatoes are an item that is a long-term storage item. And so I can get a big 10-pound bag and have that last the entire month as long as it is stored correctly. And so I make that last. Right here, there's a green salad. If you notice, it's the 22nd next to it. That's because as of the 22nd, my spending freeze is over. What I can do is I can either have a delivery or a pickup order for the salad items that I need, or I can just run to the store and grab some. But that is the breakdown. Then what I'll do is I'll just go to the grocery store. I tend to either do delivery orders or pickup. My favorite pickup is Walmart pickup. It's the only one I haven't had any problems with, and it's the closest to my house. So I'll put in an order of exactly what I want. I tend to try not to go into the store. Reason being is I'm an impulse buyer. If it sounds good, I'm going to buy it. If it's on sale, I generally weigh that, and things like ice cream, for example. I am an ice cream fanatic, and so I will buy a tub of ice cream, even though I don't need a tub of ice cream. Things like that. So I try not to go to the store as much as possible. I will do a pickup order and pick it up, or I will have them deliver it to my door, which I absolutely love delivery. If you're like me and a kind of an impulse buyer with the sweets and things like that, have it delivered. Just order exactly what you need online, stay within your budget, and have it delivered so that you don't have all those impulse buys. It's been a huge game changer for me as far as saving money. So anyway, I hope this is helpful. Leave any questions, comments down in the comments, or DM me so that that I can answer those questions for you. We do have Q&A live on Monday evenings, and so I will take some of those questions and move them into that if I'm seeing it multiple times. Also, if you are on YouTube, feel free to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of these videos. If you are any other platform, feel free to follow me so that you don't miss out on when I post these. You guys have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you guys soon. Bye.